good friends that I've never met before. This is Never Alone. I can't pronounce that part because I'm not a Nupiak Eskimo. I'm Yupik Eskimo. That's not the same language. This is a game made about a particular Alaska a native culture called the Inupiat or Nupiak. They are the essentially the northern Eskimos of Alaska. They primarily along the north coast, the North Slope, pretty much anywhere north of like Fairbanks is considered in Nupiak territory, if you want to call it territory. Alaska natives are primarily nomadic. Way back in the day, pre-Western civilization. I don't want to give you a complete rundown on Alaska Native history or culture, but you know, it is fascinating. A lot of it is like oral or verbal, like orally, like handed down through generations. A lot of the old Alaska Native, the history, the like stories, the myths, the culture, the legends, and all that. A lot of those were verbally handed down. That's why when you look at Alaskan history, there's really not much of it that was written down until within the past few hundred years. That's just because there was not much in the way of Western civilization up here until recent times. And I mean, Alaska Native culture goes back at least in 20,000 years, most likely longer than that. So there's a lot of like cultural, like a spiritual affinity with the land and with nature up here. Along a lot of the older the elders, the old native elders, they talk about some of the old stories. They were, like, for example, they'd be like out for a hunt one day, and some like a duck would jump out of the water and start talking to him. A tall tale like that, you're gonna be wondering, well, what the heck? I mean, animals don't talk to people. But a lot of these, and that was just an anecdotal, hypothetical example. But in a lot of those old native stories, animals do talk to people. They actually do. They speak words to people. So there's like that type of affinity with nature ties into a lot of these old stories that this game's going to kind of this game will kind of go over that a lot, at least over the certain aspect of Alaska Native culture. Again, this covers more from an Inupiat Eskimo like a perspective. You're not going to see any Yupik Eskimos in this game. One may argue, was there much of a difference? Well, in their language, yeah, but I mean, in terms of the food they eat, here and there. But I mean, some foods we both, as far as like native culture is concerned, a lot of the like native foods are shared between the two cultures, like whale blubber, whale fat, for example. I mean, both Yupik Eskimos and Nupiats also partake in that stuff. I've had it before. I wouldn't eat it every day, but once in a great while, yeah, I'll check it out if something's available. The nice thing about it is you can't pay for it. It's illegal. So it has to be given to you. It has to be offered to you. So you have to know somebody. So if you ever visit Alaska, my advice to any of you, anybody up here, make some native friends. They'll hook you up with some free food. Yeah. Don't knock it till you tried it, man. Dry fish, dry salmon, salmon strips, smoked salmon, hell to the yeah. Now we're talking. Now I'm getting hungry. Okay, let's get on with this game here. All right. This game, Never Alone. I'm gonna play from the very beginning. I was playing it a while ago, but I haven't touched it in a while, to the point where I might as well just I'll start over again. I don't think it got very far into it. I also own this on the PlayStation 4, and I haven't played it in years. So I'll just, for the sake of the live stream, I'll start over again. Brand new game, which we're gonna want to play a brand new game anyway, because there's a lot of there's some video footage in the game where they tell stories about Nupiak culture, and they explain a lot of these old stories, not just the old stories, but how they're told, which is really cool. I think they did a really good job with this game as far as being a cultural, like a wake-up call, if that's what you want to call it. But all right, let's get started here. Never Alone. Start over again. Game. Oh, whatever. Look, it's my brother. Kidding. Nupiat are an Alaskan Native people who have thrived for thousands of years in one of the most formidable environments on Earth. Learn more about the Nupiat through unlockable cultural insights. Watch Insights. Some of these I already unlocked. I'll go through a few of them. I'm not going to go through all of them right here. Well, some of these I haven't unlocked yet, but some of these are really, like these types of anecdotes are really interesting. Look at this guy. Let's start here.
One of the things I think a lot of people need to understand is we aren't a museum piece. The Nupiak people are a living people and a living culture. Even though we're in northern Alaska, which covers this vast area from Nome all the way over the Canadian border, is that there's this extreme value of interconnectedness and interdependence.
It's a hunting society, a gathering society from thousands of years.
Never met him or him.
Culture.
That special relationship between humans and the natural world and the animals, and that it teaches you how to have a society that doesn't do too much harm to the world.
Love and respect for nature, for one another, for our elders. Very, very fundamental value, key to life.
Our values are something that bind us all. The importance of sharing with one another, the importance of spirituality, and the connection to the land, our traditions, how we hunt, sharing of stories and songs and dances.
I'm Nupiak. I'm from the Arctic Ocean.
I am Nupiak.
It's very important to me. It's who I am as a person.
And we're very proud of who we are, and we want to continue that.
As I play, I'll go through one of these just to give more of a, what do you call it, like a perspective? Is that the word I'm looking for? Oh, like more of a context, I guess, and what kind of game we're playing here. This game is a lot of what it was. It was created um, in a partnership with whoever I forget who the video game developer was, and an actual Alaska Native corporation up here, the Cook Inlet Tribal Council, I think, or Cook Inlet something. They partnered together. Cook Inlet, they provided a lot of the funding for this game, and then the software developers, they created the game around that and added in all the cultural stuff. So it's pretty cool, very neat story how this whole project all came together. But
It'd be busy, busy, busy all through the day. You get up and you just go right to work, right to work.
There was always something to do. There was never any idle time. The only idle time we had was after we eat and before we go to bed.
One of the older people would just be relaxing, laying down there and saying, it'd be really nice to hear a story. And then just organically, someone would just start telling a story.
Storytelling for the Nupiak people is very important because it not only created that sense of community, but is a way to pass on wisdom to the next generation.
It was like TV, It was just like, it was as good as any movie you've ever seen. And the storyteller told it so clearly that it was just as powerful as any of the greatest movie blockbusters you've ever seen.
There was a reason behind the stories that we were told because they held traditional knowledge. They held things that we might need to know in life, whether it was about how to find food or how to survive, or it was about well-being and the importance of connecting with people and being a good member of the community.
We all do stories. We all live in stories. We all tell stories to our friends. And they need to be told. They need to be heard.
Unipkaaq tiaqsiitpin. Naalaqanilaqannasuk unipkaaq tuaq qaawiuraqama. Niviaqsiaqarualuguuq iñuuniaqaniqsuq angayuqaagamani. Sumiteemma. Niviaqsiaqarualuq anguniallatuneqsuq. Aasiisuraqallavluni supayaanik. Iñuuniaqhutik anuqqautigaiti. Anuqhulingaaliaqsuq. Anuqhulingaaliaqpaalluni. Kisaimma panernialiaqsivut. Niviaqsiaqarualuk kisaimma isummertoq. Tavraasi kangitsaquaqsigaasumman anuqhulisugurugumagaan. Summan anuqhulingaaliaqamagaan. Tavraasi kangitsaquaqsigaasumman anuqhulisugurugumagaan. Anuqhuliqpaalluni suniuraqanaitsoqunni. Tavrani viaqsiaqarualuk ayuungitsoq. паягниулерсо.
Run! Run! Uh-oh. No! Second controller to join this box. Press Y to switch to Fox's single player mode. Okay.
Tokutawayak
Lost it.
kisimreomi. Aranap kangapiak tok.
Cycle through each character. Remember a couple weeks ago I was playing that one game called it was called Moose Man, and I kept mentioning this game because that's what that game reminded me of was like this game. Since then I've been kind of having an urge to play this one, so finally just decided, well, heck, tonight's a good night to try it out. So here we are. Game came out in 2014, but I mean, as a 2D platformer, I mean, the graphics look pretty darn good on this. I would say, arguably, they look much better now that they're on the Xbox Series X, but climb the walls. It's a fox. Fox will do things for you. See the teamwork involved here. Now these annoying parts where the wind just kind of picks up. Now we do get wind gusts here in Alaska, pretty much everywhere. Weather up here can be pretty brutal at times in the winter time, primarily, but well, pretty much all year round. So. But winters are particularly treacherous. Brace against the wind so it doesn't blow you away.
Niveaksiagaroluk kangersingarok sup allawluni taam nateriganniaq sivuniqsip kangava niveaksiagaroluk kanudun pekpaganak tilangit tamat ko ikayok tauruat.
Definitely a puzzle aspect to this.
Diviaksiaqalualugulo teriganniaqalu ikayuuti piaqtuk. Siqaqaniutimigani. Araa kangeqsinaitsoqunni qanuq pisilaangak. Aqlaantamura atautsikun aingaluk.
The window always comes from the right, so good to know. Always gives you a bit of a warning before it blows out. Videos will pop up
when we were traveling,
throughout the
we
game.
didn't build sod houses, we built snow houses. In Canada, they call them igloo, but here in Alaska, we call them apuyak. We'd do a day of travel, and then we'd make a apuyak. The next day, my father would set traps, spend the day there, rest the dogs, give them something to eat, and then the following day, we continued to the next place. We'd go to my dad's sister, who had a house at Nupiak. They had a small sod house over there. We didn't have to do anything. We just visit with them, and my dad and his sister were glad to see each other, and they'd talk away while us kids played outside or go to sleep. By the time we get back to our home, my father would leave us with our aunt or with my grandmother, and then he'd start on his trips and go check his trap line. We were not into 8 to 5 kind of time, you know. We're in a totally different kind. We're in ecological time.
I can have a look at these other ones.
So Scrimshaw is this really beautiful method of art that's done either on baleen or ivory, and traditionally it was used to tell stories.
Each etching is telling a story of some event. Caribou hunting was taking place. This is what was going on. War began around this time, and so it sort of gives you a timeline of history through etching.
An elder or the person who carved it would literally be able to read the Scrimshaw story.
They're like reading a book, in a way.
A lot of the storytelling traditions would be things that after the storytelling was done, we'd just rely on the next person telling it. And so Scrimshaw is a very important way for Alaskan Native people to record their history.
My little sidekick, the fox.
When I was growing up, my grandpa had a pet white fox. If you're a good friend with a fox, when there's danger abound, they try to keep you from getting into trouble. They pull tricks here and there, and foxes are like spoiled little kids in a way. When you let her out, she'd go prancing out in the snow, jumping in the air. I know she was happy then. Come running at me and jump on my chest, knock me backwards, lick my face, and I try not to let it. So that was my memory of my grandpa's pet fox.
Caribou was, it provided for us in many ways.
Our clothing in those days was made of all caribou skin.
I grew up wearing caribou bands, mittens, caribou skin mattress, blankets.
Some people had boots that were made with wolf leggings, sealskin sole bottoms. Baleen was shaved to make insoles. They kept us quite dry and warm as well. But the caribou skin clothing was the best. We would get as many yearlings as we could for our outer clothing. And for a heavy winter, we would get caribou in February or March because the hair was the longest and the skin was the thickest, and we would use those for our winter gear. With that stuff on, you could sleep outside in 50 below and it wouldn't bother you a bit.
Not that I'd want to sleep outside, but sometimes they had to do that back in the day.
Silla is the weather. It also means the atmosphere. Here's the Nuna, or the land. And it's anything from the land into the moon, the sun, the stars. That's Silla.
It's a very spiritual, and we have a relationship with Silla. Silla has a soul in the same way we do as people, in the same way animals do.
I think spirit helpers in and of themselves are really about how we're connected with things. And so it may be that there is a spirit helper that shows themselves as a bird to show you the way home, or it may be a spirit helper that actually decides to show themselves with the face and body of a man instead of their animal form. And so I think one of the things that's hard to understand is that it's not one way of seeing things, it's one way of knowing you're connected to everything.
We've always had that spirituality of everything around us.
It's the interaction you have with the air you breathe, the ocean that you gather resources from, the rivers from which you gather fish, the tundra from which you pick berries, the animals that give themselves. It's all of that.
Bit of a background into what the game's about. Those little, we call it cultural insights I was watching there, just kind of paints a broader picture of what this game was trying to portray. Ends up pitch. Unlock more. We've seen them all up to this one that we just unlocked. Yeah, this game, it reminds me a lot of older games like you remember Limbo and Inside, and even older games than that like Flashback, Out of This World. That's I mean, 2D platform gaming goes back quite a ways. I mean, it's almost as old as video gaming itself when you think about it. I mean, even going back to like, you know, Donkey Kong and gosh, what was before that? I mean, it's a pretty old genre in and of itself, and I'm glad to see it still around today in various forms, aspects, and such. But I do like the educational side of this game too. It's pretty cool how they're trying to explain and spread the word about Alaska Native like culture. You'll hear me joke around about, you know, telling Native jokes and all that, but I mean, in all seriousness, it's cool that you know, there's folks out there spreading my culture thing around, or making efforts like this to do so. Even though this is not directly my Alaska Native culture, I mean, it is related to it anyway. So, because Alaska's a pretty big place. There's a lot of culture up here, a lot of different cultures up here, but we're all connected in a lot of ways because we all live up here, you know. So it's like, but yeah. Continuing on here.
Agalan malunak singa marak. Inyo kulog dikin nga marok ni Riyak Serol pingan. Iba halak si marok sumitema. Dikatyak kumanyanyak sok. Pakit kangam nago. Ibaktane. Nunakik ikiwakto ako nakasok. Inyo may tukot-taktawan nakasito. Nibeak siya rolo upirengit ka tautuk tani. Tautuk unak tuak sunapayak sa kumingan naksok. Nibeak siya rolo inyo niya katingi. Pisaw lagan naksok. Kano po niya? Ano ko lakpas kanyang dahil na kumanyait ka. Tama nga ikumawak to amin. Kakarak pam inyo niptak-tak. Sumalagula kami. Nibeak siya rolo itinyo nga ni.
Get over here. Come on. I gotta lure these things down to you.
Agalan kakaraw kolkhenyat sagabingaichik. Immenyaur sagabegemel samanga nunamin.
I guess it does come from other directions. Here, what's going on?
Hi, Gwen, today. Kalaktok inyugungaruak upik.
Uh-oh.
Kano ko
This
nga
guy.
ilisimanek pa nga. Isumulagtok ni Beak siya kalualok. Kano kita bra, kao nagayngagikpen. Kailaw di ka piup ko. Ikayo ko niya kaluagikpen kimon dahil nanakek. Sa bakit ilang ah.
New one.
Drum is something that's common to all cultures in Alaska. All cultures have a drum that may have some stylistic differences or differences in the materials that it's made, but it's still in recognition of life and vitality. And the drum mirrors the heartbeat. And when you continue drumming soon, it will be in line with your heartbeat, because that's what it's supposed to be, the heartbeat of the community, and it symbolizes vitality. And it's the most tremendous feeling to be in a room and to have one long row of all the drummers and to have that feeling of unity, everyone beating in harmony, the drum beat in unison. It's the most beautiful feeling. And to know that you're connected, you're on the land that you are connected to. And even if you grew up outside of the community, that which is in you comes from this area. And it's the greatest feeling.
Man, I went at it and look what happens.
Yeah, it's one thing to watch one of these on TV or on a video, but I mean, to actually watch one of those native dances in person, where you got a bunch of those guys in a room, they're all beating on the drums. You like feel that vibration like going into your right into your bones. You know, it's just such a good feeling. Yeah, a lot of teamwork aspect is really shit. These little people are just scary. I ain't gonna get into it, but a long time ago, I was seeing these guys. This house I used to live in, way back when I was still living with my folks, like early '90s, and I'm not sure exactly what I saw, but I did see these little guys running around. They're actually, it's a little too complicated. I don't think I want to talk about it. Let's see what this one has to say, though.
They're just like other people. They just happen to be very small and extremely strong.
These are stories that are common throughout Alaska. It's normally that people are in a size from your elbow to the tips of your fingers, and they possess superhuman strength. So they may be tiny, but they can carry a whole caribou.
And if you go up north and you talk to a number of the people in the community, they'll talk about having seen the little people.
There's a place at home that we know, but we don't profess it to anybody.
But it's not like the boogeyman.
They can be mischievous, they can be ornery, or they can be helpers.
And every now and then, we might have the opportunity to see them, especially if they want us to see them.
The fact that it's across Alaska really tells you something about our history and how we interacted with nature around us.
Yeah, I can attest to seeing one of them. Jumped right on me, actually. Very creepy. But let's not talk about it right now. I do. Oh, can I jump back up there? Ah, you stupid cunt.
Khilararak tuat niveaksiaro lo butakitke. Asi anibliting suna itukto sa urugo magat.
Oops. Do here. Right in your face. You know what I'm supposed to do here?
Niveaksiaro lo sabat ko may ahalawit imaynyarat. Bakit ka upiw kailaw din?
If you played Limbo at all, you'll be able to pick up and play this game no problem. I will say this is, I think it is a much better game than Moose Man. Moose Man was interesting, but this game, there's just more to doing it. The owl guy's drum back.
Upik ukalakto. Uvaw na kao nagingagiga. Iliginun pikit kulugo.
Pretty cool. I mean, pretty much, like, guaranteed you're never gonna see another video game that has Alaskan Natives in it, or Alaskan Native culture in it, to this extent anyway. Highly doubt it. I know they tried to come up with one not too long ago. Some kind of, I don't know what it was, like one of those visual novel type games, like I don't know. It took place in Sitka, and it involved transgender. And I remember it really offended some Alaskan Native communities. around that area because they were offended because they were like they didn't want their culture to be depicted like that, like transgender was some kind of like a normal part of their culture, which I thought was understandable. You know, I mean, if you're gonna like depict someone's culture, you want to depict it the right way. Don't try to insert your current trending like politics into it. You know what I'm saying? Which is what they were trying to do with that game. I forget the name of the game. I don't really care to know it either, but sure, if you Google it, you can find out about it. I hear it didn't sell very well either. Sorry, nobody wants to play as a transgender in a video game, I guess. So. It was kind of like that one game they call Life is Strange. It was trying to rip that game off, I guess, and yeah, it was just not a good idea for a game, especially not a good idea to try to represent and indigenous people and their culture by pushing the transgender agenda onto it. It was just really not a good idea. So, and apparently from the reviews I was reading, it was not a very good game either. So, but anyway, let's see what this one's about.
The bola is what we call kilamitang. And the kilamitang is made out of braided sinew tied out to some heavy bone which you could twirl. In my case, we're catching ducks.
When we're out whaling, sometimes the ducks start flying. And they're good for duck hunting. You know, if you're a whaling crew, you can't make too much noise. So you can't use a shotgun for getting some duck soup handy, you know. So bola was a really handy weapon to use for catching ducks. You know, the ducks fly in, you throw it up and tangles up the bird, and down they go.
Hey. Hey. Back to sleep. I had to say goodnight to my son. Oh, that thing's strong. Oops. Yeah, clumsy broad. girl's kind of a klutz, I've been noticing. It's really easy to kill her on accident.
Dobra tayo na igilehotik. Libeak siya walum ato ka upium achuta.
Oops. Damn it. Oh. Oh, let me make that thing follow you. Here. Now, the both of you have to work together here. Time the wind. In me. Time the wind. Ah, you stupid.
Sila tanig nunaking ata.
Uh-oh.
Inyukulog kaso.
There's a terrible man.
Inyukulog tao to kami yung nutkakawa.
Oh.
Agala niya siya kalwado sa perinaksiman.
I'm sorry, this looked funny.
Nalif sa piak doktor to kami yung kilamitaw. Dabra ibak.
Kill him with Ebola.
Nalif sa piak doktor to kami yung kilamitaw. Dabra ibak tani. Daw dukay.
Okay.
Nalif sa piak doktor to kami yung kilamitaw. Dabra ibak tani. Daw dukay.
I don't like how this stupid thing aims. I'm getting killed a lot here.
Nalif sa piak doktor to kami yung kilamitaw. Dabra ibak tani.
Push my fox.
I will take everything out.
Run, 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 run. Uh-oh. No!
Annap khaslik kalwaktuk.
Oh,
Agalan
good.
igilaw niya si kakanaksisinyak.
Have a good cliffhanger moment, don't you think? You've been watching this entire time. I think now would be a good time to bring our live stream to a stopping point. We can continue with the further adventures of this little native girl, whatever her name is, and her little fox sidekick at another time. It's getting late here. I have to go to bed. I got to work in the morning, so it's almost 2:30. But I think this is a good place to bring everything to a pause. See what the insights are about. Nothing new. Second here. What do you want to see
We shall bloody.
happened? Last one, and then we'll call it a night here. So.
The scaredest I've ever been, I was 12 years old. We floated out on a piece of ice while we were duck hunting. It was a bluebird day, just clear blue skies. And there was 3 of us, myself, my brother, and my dad. Next thing you know, we see this dark shadow on the ice. We look and it goes behind us. So we all jumped up, startled, and my dad, he started running. We got back to the ridge there. The ice had fractured, cracked, and broke off, and we were floating away. We were drifting. It was close enough to where my dad would have made it. He stopped and he thought about throwing us across, and if one of us was on the other side, we would be split up. So he stopped, and he just so happened to have a cell phone on him. 911 didn't pick up. That's the worst feeling in the world right there. 911 did not pick up. So he left a message because they record their calls. Once he had relayed that information, his cell phone died. That was the scariest moment I've ever had in my life. We were floating away and I thought we were left for dead. He kept calm during this situation. He's bringing out everything positive in this case. You know, I'm crying, my brother's freaking out. It went from clear blue to dense fog. Within a couple hours, we heard the chopper flying around, so they must have gotten our message. We thought we were saved, and then the chopper sound went away. So we lit some of the sled on fire. It's plastic. We thought black smoke in the fog would create some kind of marker. Chopper pilot had mentioned when we got rescued, you could see a glow in the fog, and he slowed down there, and sure enough, as soon as he slowed down, we got within visual. That was definitely the scariest moment of my life, was floating away and not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah, getting lost in Alaska is no joke. I had a story, personal story, similar to his. Well, it didn't involve ice or anything, but when I was like, 12 years old. Me and my mom and my dad, my little sister too, I forget, but we went out on a picnic out at it was a Point Hope, which is on the other side of Turnagain Arm up here, outside of Anchorage, heading down towards Seward, and it was like, I think, early fall 1986, I think it was. So yeah, I was about 12 years old, going on 13, and we had we were out this little, like, a campground on a picnic, and there's a trail, like a hiking trail, going back a ways from the camp, and my dad went down there a little bit on the trail, and he come back, and he said, "Hey, Rod, hey, there's a there's a there's a trail back there. You should check it out." So I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So I went and I started walking down there. It was all by myself. It's a nice, really big trail. And I'm walking a ways, and then nature called. I had to take a leak, so I stepped off the trail to go do my business. I turned around, and I swear to you, I turned around, and the trail, that big giant trail, hiking trail, it had just like freaking vanished. It was just freaking gone. And I had stumbled around the woods looking for it. I could not find it, and it was starting to get kind of dark. It was late. It was early evening. It was going into late evening. Remember, it was like maybe September, so the sun went down earlier at that time of year, and so I was stuck out there in the woods, all by myself, and getting darker out, and I was getting really scared. And I remember looking around. I noticed that the land sloped this way, sloped downward, and I remember hearing somewhere where if land slopes like downhill, usually at the bottom of the hill there's like water. It's one of the little unspoken rules of the wilderness, I guess. And I knew I was close to the ocean because we were like right by Turnagain Arm. So I started going downhill, walking downhill through the woods, and I get to the bottom, and there's the beach down there. And I get down to the beach, and the tide's coming in, so the waves are crashing against the rocks. It's looking really ugly down there. And I start kind of crawling along the rocks, walking on the rocks, going down the coast, because the camp was right by or close to the water. I kept following the coastline till I found the camp, and it was about an hour or two later, maybe about like an hour and a half later, when I finally walked back into camp. And I wasn't gone for very long, but it felt like I was gone for a long time. And my mom and dad were worried sick. Actually, I think it was over 2 hours, because they were pretty scared. They were pretty pissed off when they finally found me. And my story is not as intense as this guy's was, but you getting lost in the wilderness in Alaska. I mean, it is so scary up here, because you're thinking all kinds of things. There's wild animals up here. There's around here, there's like bear country. I mean, the bears could find you, attack you, and eat you. If I found my way back, it would have been overnight. I probably would have froze to death, and all these little things that go through your head when you get into a situation like that. But so yeah, I can kind of relate to this guy's story. But yeah, that's my little Alaska story. We are going to call it an evening here. Subtitles here on. Definitely want to continue this game for you. I just wanted to give it a whirl, because I mentioned it a couple weeks ago during the Moose Man, my live stream, and you can kind of see it does kind of resemble that game, but I think this one's way better. The graphics look better, the gameplay is smoother, you can jump, you can you got more to do in this game than in that one. I'm not saying the other one's not any good. It's just I think this one's just maybe a tad more enjoyable, and maybe it's because it's my Alaska culture in this game, so I can kind of relate to it more than the one that was being portrayed in the Moose Man game, which was about Russian native indigenous people and their culture, their stories, which is cool, which is fascinating. But when you're playing another game that is talking about your culture or your related culture, again, I'm Yupik Eskimo. I'm not in Nupiak Eskimo like these folks are in this game, but we're like neighbors. We're not too far removed from each other, so a lot of us have relatives on like both sides of the cultural divide there. So, but yeah, it's really fun seeing a game like this come around, and I really wish they'd make more of these types where they just kind of open up Alaskan native culture to the rest of the world, so maybe folks have a better idea of how we live up here, things like that. But yeah, this was fun to play. I'm gonna let y'all go now. It's getting kind of late. I will definitely see you on the flip side. Probably do another live stream tomorrow. I'm trying to do one a day just because it's, instead of one big long one and then that'll be it for like a week, I can do a bunch of the shorter ones, like 1 or 2 hours here and there every day or every other day, versus like maybe one every 2 weeks. I'll do like a 4 or like a 5-hour live stream or something, and then not touch it, go for another couple weeks or something. I don't know. I think it's just more fun this way. But yeah, I am going to call it a night. Thanks for watching. If anybody was watching, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on the flip side. I am out of here. Peace.